Welcome to Wellness by Degrees. Today we're going to use 2 chairs to play with some balance poses and then do some relaxation. So to start out, you want to make sure that both your chairs are facing the same direction. So the one in front of you is facing towards you, the one behind you is just even with your back. So we'll start facing our front chair in mountain pose. So feet are about 4 to 6 inches apart, toes facing forward. We're stacking the knees over the ankles, stacking the shoulders over the hips, lifting up through pelvis and spine, rolling the shoulder blades back, pressing the hands evenly into the legs. And let's take a couple deep breaths here, just starting to wake up our body, starting to energize. If you want, you can breathe deeply in through the nose and then out through the mouth. If you want, you can try that again. In through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time. In and out. On the next inhale, start to stretch the hands forward in front of you, palms facing each other. On the inhale and exhale, drop the hands down, going slightly past your hips. Inhale, come up. And exhale, drop back. One more time. Inhale, you might bring the arms a little bit higher if you want. And exhale, come all the way back. Inhale, back to center. And exhale. On the next inhale, hinge forward at the hips and reach over to your front chair. So we're resting our hands on the back, pressing the feet evenly into the ground, and we're just going to hinge into that front chair. So a forward fold, making sure that we're lifting through the pelvis still, stomach is tucked, and the back is long. Nice long spine. Shoulder blades are rolling back, chest is broad, breath is deep. If you want a deeper stretch, you do have the option of bringing the elbows onto the chair. Make sure that if you're doing this, you do have the flexibility through your arms and through your spine and that you're really stable. So you might bring both elbows up, and that's going to give you a little bit more of a stretch through the arms and through the upper back. You can keep the hands up, or you can let the hands fall beside your head. Breathing deeply, engaging through your body, through your muscles. One more deep inhale and exhale. And if your hands are up and elbows, drop the hands forward, bring your elbows back. Everybody rise up. Great. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. One more time, inhale, draw the shoulders back, and exhale. On the next inhale, we're going to start to twist over to the right. So bringing the hands down, we'll bring right hand back, left hand front of the leg. We might look to the side. You can go a little bit deeper by turning the shoulders, or you can go deeper by bringing the right hand to the side of the chair, left hand to the side of your leg. Breathe deeply and fully here. Inhale and exhale. Hinging from the waist here, or twisting from the waist. Wonderful. come back to center, and twisting to the other side. So left hand draws back, right hand is forward. We might just look to the side. We might look a little bit deeper, or we might look behind us as we bring the left hand to the side of the chair, right hand to the side of our leg. Making sure that we're pulling evenly through the shoulders, twisting evenly through the waist. Deep, full breaths. If you've lost your breath here, back out of the pose just a little so that you can continue to breathe. And release the pose, coming back onto the front chair. So from here we're going to stand up, now that we've warmed up just a little bit. I'm going to slide this chair out of the way for just a minute. We'll bring that back a little bit later on. We're going to do a lot of standing here. So for these poses, we want to open our feet apart from each other about 6 inches. You can go a little bit further if you want to feel more steady. We're hanging onto the front of the chair, but remember that the chair is just to help stabilize us. We don't want to put all our weight into the chair. So come as close as you need to feel stable. And we're just going to begin by hovering the foot. So we're really working on balance here. Let's not start with the hover. So we'll start with feeling out the balance and then we'll move into the hover. So we're just going to start to bring our weight forward and feel the weight move into the balls of our feet. And then start to lean backwards, feeling the weight go into the heels. And you can do that side to side too. So go over to the right, feel the weight come into the right foot and lift off the left foot. And coming over to the left, feel the weight come into the left foot off of the right foot. Now, the best way to do this is with no shoes on or with flat shoes. So if you have a shoe with a heel, I would recommend taking it off for these exercises. That'll give you a lot better stability and balance, and it could cause you to twist your ankle or roll your ankle if you have heels on here. So make sure that your feet are even with each other. Now let's do that one more time. So we're leaning into the balls of our feet. Notice how my body doesn't change a lot. I'm just bringing my weight forward. And then leaning back into the heels so my hips come back slightly. Going over to the right so that all my weight is into my right foot. My left foot doesn't have weight on it. And then coming over to the left. Right foot no longer has weight on it. Now stand right in the middle. We're trying to even out our weight between both sides of our feet and the front and back. So we're trying to take a moment to feel where our weight is. Do you feel even? Do you feel off balance? Where are you feeling uncomfortable here? What can you do to help stabilize yourself? So just kind of feel it out for a minute. You might need to engage more through your muscles, through your legs. You might need to lift through the spine. You might need to pull off from the chair a little bit. If we're really dependent on the chair, then it'll be hard to feel that stability and balance in our legs. Okay, so from here we're going to hover. So we'll start with the right leg. So we're just going to lean all our weight into the left leg, making sure that we're balanced over the left. And then we might draw the right leg in a little bit, and we're just going to try to lift it like half an inch off the ground. And swing it back and forth. So we're hovering the foot, we're bringing it back and forth. See how both legs are still engaged, my muscles are still engaged through this standing foot. So my hands, I could take my hands off. I'm really stable here. So we want to really work on that stability. Now your muscles might not be used to this, so it's okay if you don't quite feel stable, but as you work on this, then you'll start to strengthen those muscles in your leg, in your back, and in your torso. So all of that will help with finding that balance in your leg. So let's set that leg down for a minute. We might widen the stance and move to the other side. So we start by hinging or by moving over to the right side so that our weight is directly above our right foot. And then we're going to start to try to lift the left foot off the ground. So we're just hovering half an inch above the ground, maybe less than that, and then we're going to try to swing the leg forward and back. Forward and back. Really using the muscles in the standing leg, rooting down through the toes. Great, and bring that leg back down. So moving over, actually let's shake it out a little bit, and we'll move over to our right leg again. So I'm going to turn and face you so that you can get a better idea of what I'm doing. You just face your chair. You should be able to do everything you need to facing the chair. So we're holding on to the chair with both hands, and we're going to start to lift the leg, bending the knee here. We're starting to still bring that weight into the left leg as we raise the right leg. So you might stay here. You might start to lift the toes off the ground, keeping the hips even, hips are squared, or you might lift a little bit higher. So we're just going to balance here for a moment. Wherever you are, make sure you've got a good grip on the chair, lifting your leg to where you're comfortable, making sure that that hip isn't pulling up, but that you're keeping those hips even. And if you're really comfortable here, you might lift one arm off the chair and bring the hand forward or up above you. Remembering to breathe deeply. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. If your arm is up, release the arm and release the leg. Letting your feet come back to their neutral pose. You might rock back and forth a little bit. You might shake out that standing leg and moving to the other side. So remember, you're hanging onto the chair in front of you. You begin to bring the weight over now to the right foot, and left foot is lifting off. So you might come up to the ball of your foot. You might come slightly off the toes, or you might lift a little bit higher. Holding onto the chair, you should have room in front of you. If you don't, you can take a couple steps back from the chair. And breathing deeply. Find the pose that you're most comfortable in. Make sure you're rooting down through the standing leg. You're lifting wherever you come to. If it's right here, that's great. You're getting the same workout. Making sure that the hips are squared off. We're not lifting one above the other. If you want, you can start to bring the opposite arm in front of you or up above you. Breathing deeply, fully, and release the arm down to the chair and release your leg. Shake out both legs. Great. So coming back, I'm coming back to the chair, you're staying where you are. We're going to go into a downward dog modification. So press the hands into the chair and start to walk the feet back. So you can come right here, that's fine. We're trying to hinge at the hips, stepping back, really lengthening out the spine and the arms. So if this is where you come to, that's great. You can come as far down as this, where you have a flat back and the arms are by the ears. This feels nice. If this doesn't feel nice to you because of any shoulder injuries or flexibility, just come to wherever is comfortable to you. So right here might be your spot. Find your spot. We're working on the flexibility here, but we're also, this is a more relaxing pose as you get used to it. Make sure that you still breathe deeply. If you've started to lose the breath, then you can start to back off, going back into a more upright position. You might have the head slightly up. We don't want to drop the head below the chest. Just keep it even. And when you're ready, we'll start to walk the feet back in. Shake out the shoulders. And move into a standing tree pose. So for standing tree pose, I'm gonna face you again for this one. We're going to keep our feet slightly apart to begin with, and then we're going to start with the right foot. We'll start to turn the right foot out. And again, remember you're hanging onto your chair here with both hands. And with the foot turned out, we're going to start to lift the heel. So we're right here. You can stay here, or you can start to bring the foot in a little bit. So this is a little bit different balance because we're shortening the stance. So we can bring the foot all the way in to our ankle. That's going to be a little bit different feel. We're still putting our weight into the standing leg as we draw in the side leg. And then we're turning the knee out. That's where the flexibility comes in. So the right knee turns out, left leg is nice and strong, and you can stay here. If you feel really daring, you want to balance a little bit more, you can start to lift the toes off the ground and bring the foot, the sole of the foot, to rest on the inside of the leg. And remember, you're holding on with both hands on your chair here. Breathing deeply, making sure that the shoulders are rolled back, the chest is broad. You don't have any discomfort. If you're feeling discomfort here, if something's tweaked or if there's pain anywhere, then go to a different version of the pose. We're just working from where we're at. Everybody has a different level, and that's okay. So we'll begin to release the leg back down. I'm going to turn in so you can see a different angle of the pose. So with the opposite foot now, so left foot starts to turn out. We're holding on with both hands. We start to lift from our heel, bending our knee. And you can stay right here if that's where you're comfortable, and if you feel balanced. If you want to test your balance, then you can start to draw in. Remember that our weight is over the right leg at this point. So we draw the left leg in, and it can be part of the way in, or it can come all the way where the sole of the foot touches the inside of the right leg. So you can stay here. This is going to be challenging for some. Another option would be to start to slide the foot up onto the calf. So we're on the side of the leg, the knee turns out. We're really getting some balance in here. So holding nice and strong wherever you are, breathing deeply, working on rotating that knee out. If there's difficulty in the hips or knee, you can also be in slightly. Just come to the level that works for your body, challenging yourself while not creating injury. Wonderful. So bring that foot back down, turn it back to face forward, and we're going to move into a modification of Warrior 3. So we'll start by taking a couple steps back, not as many as Downward Dog, but just a couple steps back and pedal through your legs. And then we're going to bring first the right foot back, so we're going to hover, bringing the weight into the left leg, and then we're going to slide that right foot back. You might stay on your toes and the ball of your foot, or you might start to lift the toes off the ground behind you. So it can just be a couple inches, or if you want to lift it higher, we're going to hinge forward at the hips, bringing the chest down towards the chair as we lift the foot back. So this, you will be putting more weight into the chair, but make sure that you feel steady. If you feel like the chair's unsteady, then come out of it just a little bit. So find your level, really press through that standing leg, and don't be afraid to hinge forward. So the hinging is what helps balance us. Unless you're uncomfortable with it, then be at a different spot, so a little bit higher up. Breathing deeply, looking forward. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And one more. And release the leg, come out. Pedal through the legs. And moving to the other side. So we're pressing in with our hands. We're bringing the weight over onto our right leg. We're starting to lift and hover the left foot, and then draw the left foot back. You might stay on the ball of your foot. You might lift off slightly, or you might start to lean forward. So if you're leaning forward, you're lifting the foot. They work at the same time. You're pivoting forward at the hip joint. So wherever you are, make sure that you're breathing. Make sure that the knee isn't locking here. We want to make sure that the knee is strong, that we're not locking it. You can always come to a different version of the pose. Lots of options here. Take one more deep breath in and out. And start to come back up, bringing the legs back together. Start to cycle the legs out, pedal the legs out. Great. So, moving into a chair pose, the chair pose, we'll bring the second chair back in the same position that it was in before. And so if you have issues with your knees or your hips, you might want to just start seated. And if you're seated, you're going to be pressing into the ground with your feet as if you're standing up. So I want your legs entirely engaged. You're lifting off your seat. You're hanging onto the chair in front of you. So that's if maybe you've had surgeries, or maybe there's other injuries that have affected your knees or your hips. If that's not the case, what I want you to do is to start to bend the knees forward and hinge back at the hips, and be in an upright pose. So we're trying to find the balance between the balls of our feet and our heels, and we're strengthening the legs. So we're really holding ourselves up with our legs, hinging forward with our back so that we find the balance. So we're trying to find balance and strength here. Try not to let your knees come over the front of your toes. So if you look down, you should still be able to see your toes. So I want to challenge you guys. Get a feel for this pose if you want to try it. Otherwise, be in a seated pose on the chair, pressing up. Here, we're just trying to find that balance. So that balance we found throughout the whole practice, we're finding it now in our feet. If you feel really steady here, you might try lifting your hands slightly off the chair and then coming back. If you don't feel steady, keep the hands on the chair. And play with your breath. Make sure that you're still breathing here. Deep, full breaths. long spine. Shoulders are pulling away from the ears. And legs are engaged. Muscles are engaged. Knees are pulling out. Playing with the balance if you feel comfortable. And coming back onto the chair. And everyone sit back into your chair. You might shake out the legs. And for this next pose, we're just going to relax a little bit into the front chair. So the options are tucking the feet underneath you. You might move forward on your chair and just bring them out in front of you. Or you can come in a little bit closer, draw the feet open, and sit back on your chair, pointing the toes underneath you. With this other chair, we're either going to come down on our hands so that our forehead rests on our hands. You can cross the elbows and use the arms to support your head. Or if you're not comfortable with that, you can just stay in an upright position and drop your chin just slightly. So find the spot that's most comfortable for you. And we're just going to relax for a moment. Bringing our awareness to the body, seeing if there's anything that we need to adjust. Anywhere where we feel tightness, tension, discomfort, pain. Mentally go to that area of your body and start to relax and release it. Continuing to breathe deeply and fully. Allowing yourself to change positions if that's what's most comfortable for you. Now, come back into an upright seated position, and we're going to bring the legs back in front. Now, if your chair doesn't have arms, what you might do is bring it closer. We're going to move forward on the seat of the chair we're sitting on, and we're going to try to wrap our legs up and around the front of the chair. So this might be a little bit tricky, but give it a try. So what you do is just bring the heels onto the chair in front of you with both legs. So that is going to be a really open posture. Another option that might be easier, and this one I would recommend if you haven't done a lot of hip opening exercises, is to turn your chair around. Whether it has arms or not, this will work, so that you have a lot more space here, so your legs don't have to open as wide. So from here, you can just bring your feet, soles of the feet together, legs opening up. So here is an option. If that's still not feeling great on your knees or your hips, you can just keep your soles of your feet down, or you can even just stretch them out in front of you. All of these are options. So if you're stretched out in front, just keep the nice tall seated pose. If your feet are like this, you can grab around your shins and start to pull yourself forward just a little bit, or you can even wrap your arms underneath your knees and give yourself a hug. Or if the soles of your feet are facing each other, the knees are falling out, you might bring your hands around your shins or around your ankles and start to fold forward. So just find the pose that best works with your body. And really lean into it, relax into it. You might go a little bit deeper, you might stay in the same place. You might even back out of the pose if it's not feeling good for you. Just play around with it. You could even switch if you feel like this pose isn't working, you can try one of the other ones. Wherever you are, straighten out the legs. Point the toes and flex the toes. Your hands can be on your legs or they can hang on to the front of the chair for more support. Point and flex. Point and flex. And you might roll the ankles. They're in a nice, good place. No weight on them, no tension. So this is a good place to really play with your ankles and strengthen them. Point and flex, and bring the legs back down. Slide back a little bit on your chair. So one more option before we close. You can start to hinge forward at your hips and walk your hands forward on your chair. So this is another forward fold. We're still trying to keep the spine long. So you can either stay right here. You can come a little bit deeper on the hands. You might come down onto the elbows. So if you're on the elbows, you want to still be pulling your chest forward and your shoulder blades back. Or you might collapse into it. So I like to bring my elbows to the edge of the chair, bring my hands on top of each other, and start to bring my head down. So this is going to be the deepest part of the pose. If you're here, you want to make sure that your spine can really stretch out and lengthen out. So if you are bent over like this in this pose, you might want to back off until a place where you can have more length in the spine. Find your version of the pose, really pressing into the hands, releasing from the lower back, pulling the pelvis in, and breathing deeply. From wherever you are, begin to walk back up, back into a mountain pose. You can stay where you're at. I'm going to turn and face the front. Bringing the hands to heart center, rolling the shoulder blades back, regaining that position and pose. And from here, take a deep, full breath. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. And exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. And exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a couple more deep breaths on your own. Remembering to inhale and exhale at the same length for the same amount of time. And when you're ready, bring hands to heart center, hinging forward. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today for this practice. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.